In this movie, I really want to explore abstract photography. Creating abstracts is such a unique, fulfilling way to make images, and I really love it. And some people are drawn to it right away, but for a lot of people, it's something they almost graduate towards. You know, when you start to become proficient in other areas, eventually you get to a point where you say, I want to make something abstract. And what I mean by that is just something that really makes you think, something you're not quite sure what you're looking at. And just hanging on that thought is such an interesting thing to do. Well, the most crucial tool in making abstracts is the long lens, is the telephoto lens. And let's look at some examples. This first one here is called Aspen Rain. And I'm going to cheat a little bit here because this was taken with a macro. But the macro lens was at 90 millimeters. And if we think about a telephoto range, it's basically 70 millimeters on. And so I'm in that range. And this is the only macro one I'll show you. But that idea that I've got these incredible colored aspen leaves with the raindrops, in a sense, we know what we're looking at, but it's almost too hard to believe what we're looking at. So even sometimes in abstract photography, you can take an image of something that makes sense, but when you see something that's truly unique and special, it pushes into that realm of abstract. Now, I could have easily taken this as well with a telephoto lens, and that's why I included it. This next image here was taken in White Pocket, and this is in Arizona in the Vermilion Cliffs area. And it's repeating patterns of sandstone. You've got this amazing, beautiful, basically red and white rock surface. You feel like you're on Mars. And when you look down at your feet, you see things like this. And I really wanted to tell that story. So again, just having my tripod up nice and high and tilting down with the telephoto lens and pulling out this abstract detail. This next one is in Iceland, and this is an iceberg. And I really, really love this image. And I was a little bit nervous because I felt like, oh, I wish I had a macro lens with me. But I had a 70 to 300, and this came out exactly as I hoped. So it worked perfect. That's the thing about a telephoto lens is that because you have that focal length, you can use it in situations where oftentimes you would prefer a macro. This right here is truly an image where people have stopped and said, what on earth am I looking at? But the important thing is they like looking at it. So it's one of those things where you get into this image and you're just fascinated by it. And it's just light refracting in an iceberg. This image was taken in Kolmanskop, and what we're looking at is either ancient writing or decaying paint. Again, that's what drew me to this scene. Was it looked like I was looking at a language on the wall, but all it is paint decaying. And so it gave me that abstract quality that I'm looking for, something that makes you think. And this was taken with a telephoto lens. Another one from Kolmanskop, again, decaying paint. I've got rule of thirds here. I've got 1, 2, 3 sections, some color variation, and just that fine detail of that paint peeling off the wall. Very abstract, very interesting, all through the use of a telephoto lens. Now, this is a great example of getting to a location. This is Gullfoss in Iceland, where it's this huge waterfall and it's just massive. And you're not quite sure, what do I do with this? What story do I tell? And for me, it was just on the very cusp of the waterfall before it makes a huge drop. You had some interesting patterns in the rapids. And here I am playing with shutter speeds, of course, zoomed in very tight just on that small section. And I flipped the image vertical just to give it more of an abstract quality. So again, really playing with abstraction. It's something that you can almost always do, and that's one thing I love about it. All right, this next image was taken in Vermont, and this is a Jamaica River. And this is what I call watercolors. Direct sunlight is hitting the opposite shore, and that color is reflecting into the water, which is in shade, and I'm standing on the shade side, and you're able to really pick up the color coming off the water. And this, again, is best done with telephoto lenses. We don't want to capture the whole scene. We don't want to get the blown out sunlight hitting the opposite shore. No, this is about the color in the water and the rapids and the texture. And in this case, I even have a leaf in the corner to kind of hold that upper right. So this is all about telephoto lenses. This is another example of watercolors taken in Zion National Park. The rock really was holding the gold from the opposite shore. We've got the rapids and the colors. Now, this is something that, again, with that telephoto lens, it all comes out into a way that is something that was hard to imagine at the time. But the creativity that the telephoto lens gives you is phenomenal. And what I did here was take an image of fall color reflected into a pond. This was taken in Vermont. And a breeze started to give this ripple effect on the pond, which just abstracted the reflection. And then I flipped it 180 degrees. So it looks almost like a watercolor of a fall color scene. Telephoto lens made it all possible. And it's a world of creativity, basically really opens up to you when you start to get into this type of photography. And finally, here we have something called folding lava. This is on the Big Island of Hawaii. This is a lava flow, active lava flow, coming right towards me. Fortunately, it moves very slowly, but I just loved the way that lava folds on itself before it hardens. I thought was fascinating. So by getting in super tight, I'm able to get that action of the fold, and in doing so, create something that really makes you think, because people don't think of lava in this way. So that's what it was really about for me. This next image was taken of a Quonset hut in Alaska. And I want you to think about in terms of abstract, not only with landscapes and nature, but it works fantastic with architecture and buildings. You can find abstract almost anywhere. That's what's so cool about it. So this was the rusted steel of the Quonset hut. I just love the colors and the patterns. And I call this image flames. It looks like flames to me. Really, really love the ability to pull out something completely abstract. And I want to finish with an image I took in Chicago. This was taken during my architectural course with lynda.com. And they are balconies to a condo building. But by zooming in tight and not giving you a sky or the ground below the condo building, and then doing some creative processing, basically just black and white, high contrast, and flipping the image, it looks like something completely abstract. You could say it looks like a cargo, those big, things you see at the down at the waterfront, that kind of thing. I mean, it could be anything really. And that's what's so cool about abstract. So it's something that I think works great in landscapes, works great in architecture, in almost anything that you do. And all of these images were taken at the long end of a lens. So telephoto lenses, abstract photography are just a perfect match.